My name is Jacqueline, and welcome to the new content on my old channel. I am going to be talking about current crimes, corruption, conspiracies, cults, craziness, and cosmetics. Please stay with me, grow with me. Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to my channel. I wanted to let you know that I'm filming this on 2 different days because I lost the whole first part of this. So I'm going to go on and refilm the first part and add it to what I did on the first day. My channel is going to be called, well, it's my name, Jacqueline Andrews, but I'm going to be doing current crimes, corruption, cults, conspiracies, and craziness. Maybe not in that order. Welcome. And what I'd like to do first is talk about 2 to 3 cases, 2 to 3 times a week, to keep you in the loop of what's going on right now, not just what happened years ago or a while back, but things that are going on right now. And my theme for today is going to be the things we do for love. Do you all remember that old song? It was by a group called 10cc. You probably don't remember, but it goes like walking in the rain and the snow, and there's nowhere to go, and you're feeling like the part of you is dying, and you're looking for the answer in his eyes. He says he wants to make up, then she says she wants to make up. Ooh, you had me going. Ooh, you got away. You remember that song? Yeah, well, I kind of changed the gender back and forth. Oh, well. Anyway, yeah, the original was she, and I did she and he. So what I'd like to do, of course, is talk about the things we do for love as related to crimes. You have so many people who feel that that's my cat you hear. He's been out being a killer today. I love him, but my tomcat is a real killer. I have to be honest with you. Yeah, he's always on the prowl and bringing me back little gifts. But back to our subject. So the things we do for love. I would like to talk about 3 cases where people felt that they were in love and they reacted to being in love, but deadly consequences for their loved ones, of course. And one case I would like to start with is about a lady named Cassandra Cantrell. Now, she was 33 years old, and she lived in Parkland, Oregon, which is like a suburb of Portland. And Miss Cassandra was a nice lady, it seems. It looks like she had a good social media presence, and she also had a lot of friends and family who cared about her. She had an on-again, off-again relationship with this gentleman, or no, he's not a gentleman, this man. Actually, he's a creep. But she broke up with him on and off, and she found out that she was pregnant. But at 33 years old and being pregnant for the first time, she was excited about being pregnant, but not so necessarily about sharing who she was pregnant by with everyone, particularly her mother, although she did share it with a few people. Now, she was all excited about going to get an ultrasound because she thought, oh, wow, I might have triplets. I might have multiples. I don't know if she was on any kind of fertility drugs or not, but anyway, she was somehow excited and thinking she might have multiple births. So she went to the ultrasound, and she let her mother know that she was going, and her mother also was told by Cassandra that she was going to do some grocery shopping, perhaps. But her mom never heard from her after she left. I believe that was just on about the 5th of this month. Anyway, Cassandra was never heard from. Nobody heard from her after that day, and it's highly unlike her to not show up. So, of course, at some point, her mother calls the local authorities to ask them what's going on. Help me with finding my daughter. I don't know where she is. And that's where our story will take off in a little bit. I'm going to be filming this from different locations today. So I'm about to take off for work. I'll finish filming there and give you all a good face feed. And I'll also tell you a little bit about myself. Hold on. Hello, community, and welcome to my channel. So here I am barefaced, not even any primer on now. And I would like to talk to you about Cassandra Cornell, who was 33 years old. She was afraid to let her boyfriend know that she was pregnant. Yeah, she went missing back in August. In fact, she was found now on a steep hillside, unfortunately. The good thing is it's closure for the family. They know what's going on with her now. The bad thing is she wasn't found alive. Now, her ex-boyfriend is being charged, unfortunately. Now, on Tuesday, that was Tuesday of this week, a team of detectives from the Pierce County Police Force, or Sheriff's Office actually, in Parkland, Oregon, That's outside of Portland. They actually found her bodies in a heavily wooded area. It was a ravine, unfortunately, and it was on Chambers Creek Road next to University Place, or at University Place. So later that day, the heavily armed police department had to arrest her ex because all roads led back to him. And there is a lesson that we'll learn from this too. Now, Colin Patrick Dudley was her ex. He's 37 years old, and he lives in Tacoma, and he was arrested at his house. Now, Cassandra had been missing since August the 25th, and Mr. Dudley is being held in the jail, and he's charged with murder. Now, sadly, Cassandra was in her first trimester of her first pregnancy. She was 33 years old, so, when somebody waits that long to get pregnant, obviously she was excited, even though she didn't exactly share with her mom and some of her family members that she was pregnant by Colin, because he was her off again, on again, off again boyfriend. Now, despite that, she was very happy to be pregnant. And in fact, she was thinking that she might have twins, triplets, multiples. I don't know if she was doing fertility drugs or what have you, but as I mentioned before, but she certainly was excited about being pregnant, that's for sure. Now, her mom is a lady named Marie Smith, and Marie Smith got to be worried about her daughter because her daughter was going to do the ultrasound, and she's been missing ever since the day she was going for the ultrasound. She had mentioned that she might do some grocery shopping, and she just disappeared. And of course her mother would be worried because she was in her first trimester of her pregnancy, and what mother wouldn't be worried about her daughter was missing and pregnant? Of course she was worried. Now, one thing about Cassandra is they were able to locate her car. She had a white Mazda, and it was located in a parking garage. But here's the thing. It was located in a parking garage in Tacoma. And of course, as we mentioned before, that's where Mr. Dudley lives. And one thing that I noticed from this particular case is that Mr. Dudley didn't seem to be aware of good computer forensics and how crimes can be solved so easily nowadays because we leave a forensic trail. And for some reason, he wasn't aware of that and thought that he would get by lying and denying. So there's a lesson to be learned there. Lying and denying may have worked years ago, but now, not so much. So this guy, Colin, had a way of appearing to be normal, even though Cassandra did tell her mother that he was a jerk, just a jerk. And that's why she broke up with him. She still kept seeing him. She said, as friends. But obviously, it was friends with benefits because she ended up getting pregnant by him. He did say some very odd things, though. One of the things that he said that was very odd is he said that if he ever happened to get a woman pregnant, he would steal the baby from her and raise it to hate women. So obviously, the man had a deep-seated hatred for women. And that's always, like red flag. When you hear people say crazy things like that, sometimes you just have to realize that crazy is crazy. Sometimes we want to make excuses for them or say, oh, that person's just kidding. They don't really mean that. But oftentimes, when they say things like that, sometimes it ends up being true. And unfortunately for Cassandra, that's the case. It ended up being true because she was found in a ditch. So obviously, in his case, crazy is as crazy does. Now, of course, she was pregnant. They found out she was in her first trimester when she passed. And the police had asked Mr. Dudley if he knew her or if he had seen her recently. And this guy, as I said, was into lying and denying. So he said, oh, no, I haven't seen her in years. First lie. Of course, they were able to disprove that right away by, and a lot of this is going to be familiar with a lot of you who are like me who might watch true crime on television. But they just did a forensic check on his telephone, and they were able to find out that he, in fact, had been in touch with her. So he was caught red-handed in that particular lie. And, of course, all that did was lead them to question all the other things that he said when he lied about having not seen her recently. So what they did was they had him listed as an unnamed person of interest. You know how they'll say that sometimes on television shows. He was an unnamed person of interest for a while. That's because they probably didn't want to alarm him. But when her body was found, and it was found within 10 miles of his home in Tacoma. That, of course, made him a main suspect of interest because Cassandra had no reason to be in Tacoma. The fact is, she lived closer to Portland, and she had no reason to go to Tacoma. So when they found her car in a parking garage in Tacoma and found her body 10 miles from his home, it led back to him. Then they noticed that she was pregnant, so all the signs were there. Yes. So, there's a lesson to be learned there. Crazy is as crazy does. And this particular man, unfortunately, he took a young potential, or could have been mom and baby, away just because of whatever reasons he had that deep hatred towards women. So that's the first case that's going on right now. What do you think of that? Do you have any thoughts, opinions? I would like to know what they are. Yes, my dear people, we're talking about the things you do for love, the things you do for love, the things you do for love, the things you do for love. And we have our next story. And this guy claims love, too, in a twisted way. His name is Melvin Morton Jr. Melvin Morton Jr., yeah. And he's accused of killing his ex-girlfriend. Well, she's an ex now because she's no longer with us. Not only did he kill her, but he dismembered her body. Yeah. Not only did he dismember her body, but he took a Greyhound bus from where he lived in Kentucky to his mother's home in Markham, Illinois, and he decided to pack some of his ex-girlfriend in the luggage and take her with him. Yes. Transported her across state lines on a Greyhound bus. It's not Greyhound's fault, though. They didn't know what he did, I'm sure. I'm sure they wouldn't have been happy to know that there was a corpse riding around in the luggage, but he did transport her. And, of course, it wasn't that long before the family realized that something was terribly wrong, because he came with 2 bags of luggage that he refused to open, and there was a strong stench in the house. And rather than to open the luggage to get new clothes, he asked relatives to let him borrow clothes during his visit, the whole visit, without ever opening his luggage, which of course was stinking. The luggage was stinking. And what happened is his mom, who was a smart enough lady and an honest enough lady, was curious as to what was stinking in that luggage. So one day, her son decides he's going to go to the library, this Melvin Morton Jr. And when he went to the library, his mom says, you know what, I'm going to see what's in those darn bags, because something's stinking up my house and something is stinking about this situation. So she opened the bag, and when she opens the bag, lo and behold, she finds body parts in there. Now, the thing about it is Melvin didn't take her whole body with him. He just took parts of her. And it turns out his rationale for that, according to the police, is that he loved her, so he just wanted to take a part of her with him. So that's what he did. Now, I don't know why he didn't take the whole body with him. Maybe she wouldn't fit in the luggage. Maybe she was a thick girl. Maybe she was big and he could only get part of it in. Or maybe he was lazy about it. Or I don't know. I don't know what his reason is. I don't understand crazy. I'm just reporting. Anyway, what happened is his mother, once she saw the body parts in his luggage, did call the local authorities to have them come there. And of course, they did arrest Melvin. So, of course, during his police interrogation, that's when they asked him why he transported the body. Why didn't he leave it where it was? And he said, it's because I loved her and I wanted a part of her with me. So that's one way to introduce someone who you love to your parents, although I think they would make a better impression if they're alive rather than when they're a stinking corpse. So that's another unusual story and another thing that someone claims that they did for love. This woman has not been identified. They're not naming her, but they did, and they still are doing a search for her body parts. Now, so far, they have found her torso in a park in Kentucky, and they're still looking for the other body parts while this man sits in jail awaiting trial. So what do you feel about that form of crazy? That's another crazy thing. As we said, the things we do for love. That's another story that's unfolding, and we will keep up with that. I'll keep you in a loop. Let me know what you think of that particular one. My dear YouTube community, as I said, crazy is what crazy does. Back on September the 11th of 2014, the mutilated corpse of Tammy Jo Blanton was found in her bathtub at her home. Now, Tammy was 46 years old, and she had a boyfriend. And apparently, this case had already gone to trial at some point, but it was declared a mistrial. And so the man has been in jail since, and he's now awaiting another trial. But unfortunately, this guy was her boyfriend, and he felt that he loved her too. Now, what he did was he not only mutilated her and left her in a tub, but he raped her as well. And this is in Jeffersonville. I believe that she was in Jeffersonville, Indiana, I believe. Anyway, there is a new trial underway for her ex who did this. He not only mutilated her, believe it or not, he started eating her organs as well. Yeah, he started eating her, mutilated her, and ate her. Now, just last year in 2019 is when his trial was declared a mistrial. But hopefully he'll be able to go on and be brought to justice for what he did to this lady. Now, she had been stabbed over 25 times. This is what he did. And apparently she had just broken up with him. Now, here's the deal. Sometimes when you go with someone like this man, he'd already been in a lot of trouble. He'd already had relationship trouble, which we all do. But I mean, crazy in jail relationship trouble. And she broke up with him. And his name, of course, is Joseph Oberhansley. And he was only 38 years old, so she had a younger man to be that crazy, crazy, crazy jealous. And she broke up with him. So what happened is she broke up with him that morning. He comes over. He keeps trying to knock on her door, get with her, what have you. I guess he ended up busting in. He murdered her. He raped her. And now he's waiting for a new trial. So, again, this is somehow what he wanted to do for the woman who he professed to love. What do you think of this particular one? Do you have any thoughts, any observations? I would like to know what you think about that. Now, those are 3 cases today where people feel or felt that they were in love with the people who they ended up murdering. And unfortunately, a lot of times people will be in a relationship with a person who claims to love them but shows all kinds of signs of sickness. And they'll stay in a relationship. But a lot of times when they do that, they're not in a relationship just because of love. A lot of times it's fear. They just sometimes don't want to deal with breaking up with a person and feel that it's easier to just stay with them. But I have to scratch my head and wonder who would want to be with someone who's only with them because they're afraid of breaking up with them. What do you feel about that? Now, if you have any other stories that you would like for me to look into, all you need to do is let me know, and I will be glad to. I have a lot of other stories that are coming up that I plan on doing. But those are the 3 that I was thinking about just today that really had me thinking. So, in one case, we have the lady who was pregnant by a man who she knew was a jerk, and she ended up in a ditch. Then we have the man who had a girlfriend, and he decides to kill her, cut her up, and introduced her to his mom in the most unlikely way. And then we have the 3rd man, this Joseph Oberhansley, who not only did he kill, rape, and mutilate the body, but then he started cutting her up and eating her in the name of love. So, I don't know what kind of love that is, but this is some of the crazy things. These are some of the crazy things that are done in the name of love. So, I would love to know your thoughts, your opinions, your observations. Now, as promised, I want to tell you a little bit about me. I happen to be a former law enforcement officer. In addition to that, I have a degree in political science with a minor in telecommunications. I also happen to be a licensed hairstylist and makeup artist, so I love things all hair and makeup. So we'll be exploring those on this channel as we talk about crimes. I feel that those qualifications make me uniquely qualified to do this kind of content, which I'm so excited about doing, actually. I'm very low today because I'm at work right now, but I definitely didn't want a day to pass without doing this video because it's my birthday this week, and this is part of my present to myself to get more active on YouTube. And today I actually have a bonus story for you, and this is coming out of Lake County, Illinois. A lady named Lori Shaver. Lori Shaver, my goodness. She's 37 years old, and she had a husband named Michael. Now, Michael disappeared about 5 years ago. No one knows where he disappeared. Lori had been telling friends and family that he just ran off. He just abandoned her. Nobody had heard from him, but they did get text messages, friends and family, where it was allegedly Michael saying, "Leave me alone and don't bother me." So he hadn't been seen by friends and family for 5 years. His wife, 5 years after he had missing, or even before then, ironically, she had her a boyfriend. After he got missing, she got a boyfriend pretty quickly there and got remarried. Well, very recently, it turns out the remains of her ex-husband were found buried under a block of concrete in a fire pit in her backyard. Now I wonder what her husband and her know about that. The body just happened to be that of her ex-husband, Michael. And so, of course, now the question is, which one of them or both of them will get charged? What did the current husband know about the ex-husband? This is your bonus story. It's another doozy. You know, it kind of makes me a little bit nervous about getting a house that has concrete slabs, even though I'm in one now. And actually, even if a person wasn't buried under a slab, which is quite scary, you never know if you're on some ancient burial grounds or what. I'll tell you, it's just scary when you start thinking of things that can be buried in a backyard. Makes you not want a house, even a new house could be in that situation. So what do you think of that? The fact that the lady's husband's or ex-husband's body was found under the house after she gets remarried. I do feel the need to let you all know that a lot of times I'll cover more than one story during my segments, which is a little bit different from what you may be used to from others. The reason I'm doing this is because my stories are new. They're still unfolding, so there's not always a lot of background information on them, unlike the other channels where the stories are older and there's a lot of background information that may be available. Now, one other thing that I would like to do is talk about the fact that nowadays you have so many people who are getting into storytelling and makeup, and I think it's wonderful. We have so many people who are doing very well with this particular format. We have one lady who started about 4 years ago with storytelling and makeup, crime and makeup. She didn't take off. But then we have a young lady named Bailey who really has taken off. We also have a lady named Brittany who is doing well. We have Mr. Welsh who's doing ghost stories and makeup, and that's doing well for him. And then, of course, Cindy, who is doing history and makeup. And that's not including all the people who simply do very brilliant storytelling, like Miss Neal and many others. There's one girl I can think of with an Italian surname, I believe, and she's also doing very well. So you have a lot of people who are doing this particular type of format. And one thing about it is there's room for many more because, unfortunately, crazy keeps happening. As long as crazy happens, there's room for more stories. And there's absolutely no way one person can cover everything that happens. So I believe there's room for all of us and more, and even more, of course. Excuse me. There we go. I dropped my one of my brushes. So I would love for you all to not only, if you'll stay tuned, watch me and hopefully grow as I grow and my channel grows, hopefully. But also, please like, share, subscribe, and click that notification bell so that you'll know when I upload. As I said, I plan on uploading at least 2 to 3 times a week, simply because these things happen daily and I'm keeping you abreast of current situations rather than talking about things that happened years ago, which are still very interesting, but I would like to keep you in the loop.